Welcome back. It's Do That But Better. I'm Zach with my brother Eric. And today we've got a little bit different format because we were talking about our topic today and we were realizing that we were just coming out of the gate. We had some different ideas on what this would be. And so today we're talking about nutrition, but we're we're keeping with the theme of the box. So we had how to be good outside the box, how to be good inside the box, how to be a good member, and now we're thinking about nutrition outside the box. And Eric, I want to send this over to you first. When you hear outside the box nutrition, where did your
Mhm.
mind go?
So my first thought was essentially, how do you think about it?
Mhm.
Um, and specifically like kind of diet culture
Okay.
and how, because I think that's how most people, if you say nutrition,
Mhm.
that's pretty much where their mind goes is like diet, right?
Right.
Which even that word is totally like hijacked, right? If you said, what's the diet of a kangaroo? It's not it's not what the kangaroo is eating this month.
How did you not think like lion or something that you know the diet of? You
I
went
have no
straight to
idea.
kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
All right, kangaroo. Yes, if we all think of the diet of a kangaroo,
Yeah,
it's
it's
obviously
not.
wallabies and things like that.
But the diet of any animal.
Okay,
You're not thinking like, what is it eating this month to get into summer shape,
right.
right? It's what does it eat all the time, right? What are the normal things that it eats?
Yeah.
And so I think now we maybe use the term lifestyle. Um, but yeah, like the way that we think about nutrition um, is in a box. And
Okay.
so getting outside of that box and recognizing that like we bring a lot of baggage to that of like, what did your family eat or your roommates in college? What ads really get you? I was just I was just kind of making fun of a friend yesterday because he's all about liquid death,
What is that?
which is canned water. And I'm like, dude, their marketing team is crushing it because
Wait a
that
minute.
is 100% what it is.
Wait a minute. So, I mean, it is just canned water, but so its name
Yeah,
is Liquid Death.
yep,
That is hilarious.
canned water. I don't know if it's like spring water, and then like I think a lot of money goes to like environmental stuff, but
Mhm.
canned water.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, like marketing, all these things have an influence um, on the way that you think about nutrition. And so, like recognizing that
Mhm.
allows you to think outside of that box and start to see like what are other options that I have,
Mhm.
right? So especially in the diet world, um, like there's a lot of you get into like strict rules of this is good food, this is bad food.
Right.
You can only eat this, or you cannot eat any of that, right?
Right.
You have to measure every single thing. You have to weigh and measure everything, or track everything. And so, like, that's kind of the box where we've been in for a long time, and that's where people assume they have to go. Like, if I want to lose weight, if I want to hit these goals, if I want to fit in this dress, I have to do one of these things. Like, it's got to be drastic. It's got to be a big change, right? But like there's so many options outside of that that just never come to mind because you only ever hear of these specific things.
Mhm.
So um, that's what I think about. And then like I want to help people find those new options and like new ways of just thinking about it. Of like 1% better. Instead of changing your whole lifestyle and everything you eat all at once, Like change one tiny thing. Can you make one different decision today? Right? Like fill up your water bottle instead of going to the vending machine at work. Right? Like that's one decision, and that's a better decision. You're 1% better today. Right? And
Yep.
that's all you do. And you keep making those small decisions and they add up instead of trying to change everything, overhaul, go whole 30 for a month and then crash at the end,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Do that, but better.
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
just all right, just a little bit better. Okay, good. And actually, and when you do that, when you are doing small changes, right? Eventually, there is a huge change.
Yeah.
And like you said, it does seem that people will, they say they want to fit in this dress, and but they want to fit in it by this date, And it was like we should have been thinking about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so now your only option is crazy diet, and now and it's going to be unsustainable,
Hmm.
and you're going to go right back to what you did, even if you get to your goals, because you didn't learn the things that you actually need to do to live sustainably, how your how your body works.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of like getting outside of that diet culture box is that sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
and even, like thinking of things on a spectrum, right? The most common question is this protein bar good? Is this healthy? Like,
Yes.
it,
Nails on the chalkboard.
right. Yeah. Because like, there's no such thing as a good food or a bad food. Like, what's the context? Why do you want to eat it? Like, what purpose is it serving?
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, I just saw something maybe this morning or last night, um, talking about exactly that, saying that fast food can fill other tanks, right? Like other than your health tank, it could
Mm-hmm.
fill your emotional tank, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so recognizing some of that and just
It,
seeing like,
it can even be entertainment,
yeah,
right? You,
yeah,
you
exactly.
you like to, let's say, remember we used to go to Ed DeBevick. It seemed like anytime that we had somebody like some kind of traveler, we would go to Ed DeBevick's.
Hmm.
And so yeah, you're going to get crappy hamburgers and fries, but you get a great experience with the waiters and waitresses that make fun of you.
Yep.
So
Exactly what you're
it
looking
had,
for.
yeah, it had nothing to do with health. It's like I'm not eating for health right now. I'm eating
Yep.
for this experience.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And even like again on that spectrum, if it's like, well, I love McDonald's. Okay. Do you love like the burger? Like you can start to make better choices. Again, like that 1% of like whatever, get a salad versus a burger. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's all on a spectrum. Or even,
You
let's
might even
say,
just like the fries, right? So you like the fries, so every now and then you go and get your fries,
yep.
and you go, you know what? I don't really like their burgers. I don't really like their milkshakes, or maybe you like to go and get your Shamrock Shake, and it's like, hey, I don't need anything else. Give me my Shamrock Shake, and I'm out of here.
Speaking of, they changed the recipe, right?
Did they really?
Am I not? I don't think I'm the only person recognizing this. I'll Google it. I feel like they used to be a lot better,
Huh? I don't know.
and that
I
tastes different.
I
That's
haven't
just
had
me.
it in a long time. You know what? I lots of times during Lent, I would give up something that was in line with ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I wouldn't get Shamrock Shake. So I feel like I
Yep.
just haven't done it in a long time.
Yep. But yeah. Anyway, we got our own recipe that we make at home now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I think is better. Anyway,
You'll have to share.
um, which even that, like, again on that spectrum, if you love a Shamrock Shake, maybe you find a recipe to make one where you're using whatever coconut milk instead of just a straight ice cream, and you're using actual mint instead of like crazy dyes and whatever flavoring is going into it,
Right.
right? And corn syrup and whatever. And so you start to move this stuff along a spectrum of like Shamrock Shake here, like homemade Shamrock Shake over here, and you start to move along that spectrum. Um, or again, like protein bars.
Mhm.
I mean, you go from like Snickers to whatever Cliff Bar to like homemade whatever thing to like actual protein meat,
Yeah.
right? Like you've got all these different options. It's not just good or bad,
Right.
right? So starting to make that like recognize that fact that like things are not just black and white, healthy, unhealthy, good or bad.
Mhm.
Like you've got a lot of options in there, and so you don't have to go from 0 to 100 on the spectrum. You can go from 0 to 10,
Right.
and day to day too. Like birthday party comes up, you can take that dial down on the spectrum, and have your cake, whatever, go all out for your birthday, and then you turn it back up to your 7 or whatever, your base level. So you've got options for instead of on the diet or off the diet, because
Right.
that's where people fail. It's always like, well, this vacation came up and then I'm off and now I'm just, what's the point? It's like,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't have to be on or off. It's not a light switch,
Yeah.
right? You've got you've got infinite options in between on and off to work with.
Right.
So
And
I think, oh, go ahead.
well, yeah. So, well, along those lines, where you're saying that, hey, this is your diet, as in like scientific definition of a diet.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about, let's say a lion, a dog, a cat, right? They're carnivores. So what do they eat? They eat meat. And it's like, all right, what kind of meat? Well, like what they have right then. But guess what? You might see them eating vegetables, right? You might see them eating like these other things. You'll watch a dog eat grass every now and then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to sustain them like for health, but they do that sometimes, and that's going to be okay. But when somebody's looking, it's like, do you only eat Shamrock Shakes, or are you eating this other stuff? And then sometimes you do. And I would hope that most of the, like, if somebody sees you eating that thing, they go, huh, they're eating that, right? Because they assume that you're eating other things. So eating meat and vegetables and
Mm-hmm.
things that are actually for health, as opposed to for entertainment, for whatever else you're going to use.
Yeah. 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 And like that idea gives you a lot of freedom to um again, like be outside of the box that people want you to be in. Like, are you paleo? Are you zone? Are you macros? Whatever. It's like, I'm just me.
Right.
I eat these things most of the time, and sometimes I eat this stuff. Like, it seriously is that simple and
Hmm.
that wide open.
Yeah.
So that's my long answer of outside of the box. That's what I'm thinking about, and that's what I hope that people can recognize, is that like, if recognize what kind of beliefs and things that you're holding on to as far as nutrition and diet,
Yeah.
and recognize what options are out there for you to try, to figure out what works best for you.
Hmm. I like that.
So what about you? Okay, outside the box.
Yeah. So the first thing that I started thinking of was back to the paleo days. And when starting CrossFit, everything was CrossFit is paleo and zone. And when you're thinking of paleo, the one of the main things was unpackaged foods, right? So not processed, whole foods. And so I originally thought like, oh yeah, it's not in a box, it's not in a bag.
Mm-hmm.
And this the idea of this was of like paleo is that um, these are going to be the most nutrient dense foods. These are the foods that our bodies have adapted to eating because they've been around for so long. And when you go into your processed foods, there's a lot of problems that come up. You have they're high calorically, right? So anything, actually, let's take this back to the grocery store, right? So if you think about the things on the outside of the grocery store, you've got your vegetables, you've got your meat, you've got your dairy. So you got milk and cheese and eggs. Well, eggs eggs always go in that cabinet, but they're
It is
but they're not
ridiculous.
actually dairy. But so these are the things that are going to be draping, and then when you go to the inside, you've got things like your cereals and breads and canned things and your fruit snacks and pop and all chips, right? So these are super high processed, and there's a few problems with these kind of foods, and this is usually most people's problem when they're trying to eat healthy, and uh, they're very easily accessible. So, like you were talking about, even like protein bars, they're going to be high calorically, and it might even say protein, and it's like, all
Hmm.
right, with 14 grams of protein, and then it's also got 14 grams of fat and 25 grams of carbs, and it's like, all right, well, is this a protein bar or is this a meal? And it's like, well, that's a meal. But if we're eating whole foods, if you set up your plate and you go, all right, I'm going to put some meat on my plate. I'm going to cover it with mostly vegetables. I'm going to add in some carbohydrates, so some fruit or something like that, and add in some healthy fats. So nuts and seeds and olive oil and real things. It's going to be more beneficial for us. It's so nutrient wise, right? Right. We're getting the vitamins and minerals that we need because processing will strip things of these nutrients.
Hmm.
But we're going to be able to eat more volume of food, which especially if you are trying to lose weight, this is great, right?
Hmm.
I get to eat more stuff with less calories, and I'm getting the nutrients that I need, and it's like, holy crap, that's a great way to eat, right? So this is what I started thinking of when I was thinking outside the box, because so many people have problems with this. Now, one big thing when it comes to like paleo, right? So, like you were talking about, there's like dogma with diets and things like that, and in the paleo world, like especially, man, 2010, and the Paleo Solution book and Rob Wolf, there was so many things like, all right, you cannot have any grains and you can't have legumes because like those have to be fermented or whatever so that we can eat them. And all of a sudden we get to like, you can have this but you can't have this, but you can
Right.
have paleo brownies because it has agave nectar and it was using almond flour, and it's like almond flour wasn't like ground up just like a grain was, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Paleo brownies, but no potatoes or tomatoes.
right. Exactly. And so yes, so sometimes there is this dogma of that kind of those like rules, right? And
Mm.
really, it's like getting to the tools that this is teaching you. And I feel like most people, if you are looking to change your diet, this is the first place to start. Not because paleo is the right way, and if you follow it the exact like exactly with you can have sweet potatoes but not white potatoes because of this, and it's like, you got to be kidding me, right?
Hmm.
But because you're getting quality food again, and it is removing processed foods, right? And like you said, with when it comes to a diet, it's like, what is your normal diet? And it's like, oh, I'm eating meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. And this is going to be the first place to start for just about anybody. And I feel that sometimes getting that dogma is one of the best things that you can
Hmm.
to to start a new path, right? And so, yeah, it's not the best to cut all things out or anything like that. But I also think that sometimes you just gotta see the other side, right?
Yep.
Actually, one of the things I've been thinking about semi recently is a characteristic that I feel like everybody has, but nobody wants to have, and it's being a hypocrite, right? And so, and and I started thinking about it because people are, that person's a hypocrite. I'm like, so am I. Like, I mean, and if you're not, you probably um you're probably pretty wishy washy, right? Like you never
Mhm.
like took a stand, and I think that sometimes you got to go like, no, it's paleo or nothing. And now I don't think that this is something good for always, and you should be open to stuff. But when when you truly believe something, shout it out, let people know, because if you think that it's really beneficial, then like give it to other people, right?
Mhm.
But you also have to be open that like there might be another way. And when you find that that's true, it's okay to go, guess what? I was wrong, and here's the new information,
Yeah. I
right?
think even along those lines, kind of some of the mindset stuff I was talking about is one, like people go into a diet or whatever plan with no time frame in mind. Like, I'm
Mm,
going to do keto. Cool. For how long? I don't know. Until it works or until it doesn't work. I like whenever.
yeah,
And so like it's kind of fun to gamify and just say like I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to do keto for 1 month. Right? Now you've got an end date and now you can say like do I want to continue or do I want to go to something else? Or what parts do I want to keep and what parts aren't working for me?
right,
Right? And so now you've got options. Same thing with the paleo.
right.
Like sure, do whole 30 for a month because like
Mm-hmm.
you're saying like it's a great reset and it teaches you a lot. And go in with the mindset of like I'm doing this for 30 days and I want to learn what works best and like what can I continue doing,
Yeah,
right? Like it doesn't have to be I'm on whole 30 and now I'm off whole 30. It can be I'm on whole 30 and now I'm going to be on my style of whole 30.
yeah.
You know?
Actually, I think that even in the paleo solution, when it talked about the paleo diet, his whole thing. So Rob, if you've never read this, so Rob Wolf, it is a great book. I think that anybody should pick it up. And he's got multiple other books now, um, like with other diet info. But um, the idea of removing grains and legumes and dairy from people's diet was because those things are wreaking havoc on people's digestive systems and stuff like that. Not
Mm-hmm.
everybody's, but a lot of people. And
Yeah.
so after doing 30 days of being very strict on basically eating meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, then you start adding in things and you start going, all right, how does my body adapt to this? And you can start going, oh, you know what? I do always feel a little bit bloated when I have dairy.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I'm trying to think. There was something that, oh, you know what? Like when I eat dairy, and actually I got this from like a paleo challenge. I am like more congested, but I never even noticed that I was congested until I felt not congested. It was
Yep.
just like, oh, that's just how it is. And so finding those things, getting out of what you normally do is going to be super beneficial. And I definitely, I honestly feel like anybody should, yeah, whole 30 paleo. I think that you should go into it to like learn how to eat. What would I eat if I could only eat real food that I was growing or raising or processing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, like on a farm, and it's like, oh man, like lots of times we won't even know what to cook, and I think that this is a huge problem if people are eating lots of processed foods. It's lots of times it's cheap, it's convenient, it tastes really good. You can eat tons of it, and so
Yep.
you end up getting just tons of calories, and now you don't even know how to cook. You don't know how long these vegetables are going to last in your in your refrigerator, right? I mean, do you remember that? Like going, like you're like, all right, I'm just gonna buy a crap ton of vegetables, and it's like, all right, by Wednesday, all these, like, my avocados are done, and it's like I'm just throwing away food now.
Yep.
But that is a huge learning process that you have to go through if you want to be eating for health.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think again, like approaching a lot of these different diets and things, and just making changes to your diet,
Mhm.
um, a lot of times comes with that idea of like, I just want to do this thing. I want to lose weight, whatever. Um, but going into it with the mindset of like, I want to learn,
Mhm.
that makes a big difference. And again, it is like outside
Yes.
the box thinking. As far as like diet culture, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing this to, um, whatever, look sexy in a bikini in 30 days. I'm doing it to figure out what works best for me and like how do I feel the best.
Yeah.
And that's a totally different way of approaching it. And it's going to achieve the goals that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yep. Now, like one thing, and so, like I said, I really think that everybody should try like a paleo or like a Whole 30,
Hmm.
at least for 30 days. And like you said, learn from it. Go, all right, what would I eat? How would I make this? How would I make this work? But there are a lot of problems with it too. And so, just like you said, any kind of diet. One of the things that I really had trouble with was with things like peanut butter. I'm like, all right, this is real food. Now, the funny thing is that, like, along those rules, right? Now, technically, peanut butter was not paleo because it was a legume, whereas almond butter was, right? So even if you're going to say that it's paleo because it's an it's real food, um, I would eat crap tons of it. And
Yeah.
just eating crap tons of peanut butter is not necessarily going to be the healthiest for you, and it's also not going to help you lose weight,
Yeah.
especially if I'm if
Try
you're.
try eating the same amount when you have to shell the peanuts yourself or almonds.
Oh, yeah,
That's a more realistic serving size.
yeah, yeah. And so this can all be done bad. And even, when you think of, like, so I always think of this with vegetarian, right? And I'm not against vegetarian, but you can take this diet and do it really poorly, and you're not going outside the box. So how many people do you know that are vegetarian that are like, well, I'm going to eat pizza and crackers, and there's a million processed things, because guess what, eating real food, it takes time to prep. it
Yep.
it's going to rot. It's not super convenient if you're on the go. It's much easier to grab the vegan, like the no moo or something like that, or no milk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like it's
Yeah.
like a protein bar kind of thing.
Yep.
But it's so much easier to grab that. And guess what? I'm still not eating real food. And it's like, all right, let's do that better. And can I grow it? Can I pick it? Um, and now I'm getting more into that quality food that most people are lacking in their diet.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of going back to the like 1% better.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily like I agree everyone should do like the Whole 30 something, right? Where you get a taste of like what does this actually look like? And like we said, like use that as a learning experience
Mhm.
and then figure out what's going to work. Like what vegetables do I like? How do I add an extra serving of vegetables every day?
Right.
Right? Like if like you said, if you don't know how to cook, learn how to cook one meal and make that once a week.
Yeah.
Right? Like now you're better. Now learn a second meal
Mhm.
and add that one in. And now like you're taking those baby steps where like you've experienced the whole thing of like, whoa, whatever. When I cut all these things out, I feel so much better. Right? How do I make that sustainable for myself?
Yeah.
And so you start taking those steps to figure out like what's going to work best in the long term with my schedule and my routine and my kids and right. Um, so yeah, like again, looking at it that way of I'm going to learn from this and then I'm going to take these steps. That's all I need to do. Like a little bit each day and you're going to get to where you want to be and where you can stay instead
Yeah.
of I'm going to do this for a month or two and then I'm going to fall off because I just can't keep up with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Most diets are not a lifestyle,
Yeah.
no matter how much, no matter how much they say that they are.
Yeah.
But you're going to take pieces of them. Well, Eric, what are some things that you do with nutrition that you would say are outside of the box or just uncommon for a lot of people?
Oof. Um, Man, it's so hard to say. So actually, Lisa was just on a retreat this weekend with a bunch of
Hmm.
ladies from church, and she came back and was like, "Oh, it was like just so many carbs." And like, do people eat that way all the time?
Yep.
And I do feel like we've been doing it so long that sometimes I'm like out of touch. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Is like taking handfuls of baby carrots and just like mowing those down, is that out of the box?
That's disgusting. That's
They don't give me hiccups.
I hate carrots. I hate carrots, and I hate it when people eat them. Is that outside the box?
It could be. But yeah, I I feel like that is, or like just having a heaping thing of vegetables every meal
Hmm.
is that I feel like that's outside the box, but I
Absolutely.
mean it's just normal. I don't know.
Well, it can't. So yeah, just because it's normal for you doesn't mean that it's normal for everyone, for sure. And
Yeah.
so I sort of feel the same way. And actually, like I I front load my vegetables like crazy. So I want to get like I will fit like we have a big cast iron pan. It's got to be, I don't know. It's big. It'll hurt you if you dropped it. But and I really load it up. And if I don't have my normal, like I usually have like spinach and mushrooms or something like that. But if I don't have that, then I always keep green beans, like frozen green beans, in the fridge, and I eat at least a bag. And so actually, whenever I don't have fresh vegetables, I go right to a bag of vegetables and I eat minimum one.
Hmm.
And so like actually there's often times where Natalie's like, all right, I'm gonna throw some green beans in for dinner. And she makes a bag and there's six people and I eat one by myself and I'm like, all right, let's get a few more. I
We've
understand.
done the same thing where like we make the one bag or like it'll be a package from Costco and it's like
Yeah,
three bags of them and
yeah,
we make one and we're like this just put them all in.
dude, yeah. I, so I definitely think that just eating crap loads of vegetables is totally outside the box. Even though I think that people go, oh yeah, I eat vegetables. Um, I think that the amount that you can eat
Hmm.
and the amount that you should eat is way underestimated. And now, obviously, I do feel that I sometimes overdo that, but I don't think it's a bad thing to overdo. It's not going to hurt you um, uh, weight wise. It's not going to hurt you like blood sugar wise. It's not. I mean, there's really no downside to eating that much vegetables.
Yeah.
So it's like a pretty good habit to have.
Yeah.
So,
I would say now that I'm thinking about it, the other thing is just like I think in the grocery store, looking at your grocery cart. And like if you're standing in line, that's when I feel weird. If man, I mean if you got a shopping cart full of like cans of pop and cereal and like instant everything, every single thing's in a box, and then I'm like, what? Like ours is it's only it's piled full of vegetables and then you've got the meat and then I don't know, salad dressing, frozen vegetables. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
I'll tell you what, if you could leave it on your porch and not be worried that it wouldn't be gone,
Yeah, yeah,
it's probably a good shopping cart.
yeah.
Wait,
If you get
or the
distracted,
opposite.
yeah, if you get distracted while bringing groceries in and leave stuff in the car, and then an hour later you're like, oh crap,
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, yeah. Well, cool. You guys think outside the box for sure. Get quality food, and I do challenge anybody to, like, number one, pick up that book. So it's a pretty quick read, and I think it's just got good information on getting the quality food in first, because any diet that you're doing, any changes in your diet that you're going to be making, I think that this is where you start. And once you have that down, if you can prepare your food, real food, often, you're
Hmm.
going to be in a great spot for any other nutritional changes that you're going to try and make.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Eric, um, you've got a group coming up. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, so I've talked to a lot of dads, and the big thing, with your nutrition, with getting workouts in, whatever it is, the biggest challenge is fitting it into your schedule. Because I know, I know, you get stupid things, people asking for help, whatever, calling you, filling your time with other things, and it starts to push out the important stuff. So, helping a bunch of dads get get their schedule and their calendar under their control, to cut out the noise, make sure you're doing the important things, taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, um, boosting your energy, right? So yeah, we're gonna work on that for 60 days. So the beta group starts this weekend. So first group, you're gonna get a lot of one-on-one time. You get to help kind of guide the program and see like what exactly do you need, and that will help shape it for future groups. And you get a one-time discount, which is pretty sweet.
Awesome.
So
Where
if
can
you
they
want to
find
join
it?
that beta group, you can go to my Facebook page, just Eric McGathy, or on Instagram, and I've got the links on there. Let's
Cool.
go check it out.
And it's ARIK.
Yep.
All right. Cool. You guys, we will see you next week for Do That But Better. Have a great week.
See ya.